Welcome back to our Wisdom for the Ages edition of the Hampton Roads Show, focusing on issues older adults face. One very important discussion that needs to happen sooner rather than later is the legal discussion. That's why we've brought in attorney Jeremy Domozick. He specializes in elder law at Domozick Law Firm. Good morning, Jeremy. Welcome to Hampton Roads Show. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, when we talk of elder law, first thing we think of is a will. And why do you need it? And talk about that.
Sure. Well, will is really important because it helps to pass on your assets after you're gone. It also appoints somebody called the executor to make sure that those assets get to where you want them to go.
And talk about the power of attorney, which is another thing that you just never know when you might need. People with Alzheimer's, maybe get in a car crash, you just never know when that's important.
Exactly. I get a lot of clients that come into the office and say, Jeremy, I already have a will, so if something happens to me, if I'm in that car crash, then I'm covered. And I say, well, what happens if you're in the car crash, but you're just laid up in the hospital for a few weeks? Who's going to handle your personal, financial, and business affairs when you're unable to? That's where the power of attorney comes in. That appoints somebody to take care of those matters, whether you're laid up in the hospital or you develop some sort of disorder like Alzheimer's or dementia.
Does that need to be a written document, or can it be a verbal agreement? How does that work?
No, it absolutely has to be a written document, and there's specifications for, it needs to be notarized and other certain things that need to be in the document to make sure that's going to be effective.
Let's talk about medical directive and what that's all about.
That's really important and something that a lot of people don't think about. That includes what a lot of people think of as the living will. So a medical directive is basically like a healthcare power of attorney. It appoints somebody to make your medical decisions for you in the event that you can't make them yourself. Furthermore, it also includes the kind of end-of-life scenario. If you're in some sort of coma or vegetative state and the only thing keeping you alive are tubes and machines, what do you want to have happen? Do you want somebody to pull the plug? You get to make that decision now while you're able to, put it in writing, and then appoint somebody to make sure that your wishes are honored.
It's so very close to the power of attorney, right?
Absolutely. One's for financial and one's for medical.
Okay, moving on to the living will. How is that different than the medical directive? I know there is a difference there.
Yeah, the living will is basically usually a part of the medical directive. The medical directive as a whole constitutes many things, such as whether or not you want to be an organ donor, medical decisions, but the living will specifically is about this end-of-life scenario where if you're in a terminal situation and you're not awake or conscious or able to make these decisions, you're on respirator, feeding tubes, like I said, what decision do you want to make? You make that now in your living will while you're still able to.
Let's just say someone's mother or father has Alzheimer's. Is it too late?
Typically, yes. Once somebody becomes legally incompetent to make a binding decision like that, then it's going to be too late. And that's why I urge most people, if they think that there might be concerns for their elderly relatives, come have a consultation sooner rather than later, because oftentimes, by the time you actually need the documents, it might be too late to put them in place.
I know we've been asking everyone today about wisdom and advice. What advice do you have for people out there about taking care of their legal future?
A lot of people don't want to talk about these sorts of things. They
Right.
think it's morbid or something like that, but really, if you don't put it in place, it's going to create a lot of problems down the road, either for you or your loved ones who are having to deal with it. So my advice would be to have the conversation sooner rather than later and get it taken care of.
It can really solve a lot of problems, not just that, but give you peace of mind.
Oh, absolutely. Peace of mind that when you're already in a tragic situation, it's going to be a lot easier for your family to handle these matters when they have to.
Once again, Jeremy Domozick. You can find him at Domozick Law Firm. Give him a call, 965-3747, or you can find him online, domolaw.com. Jeremy, have a great holiday season.
Well, thank you. You too.